Well, I will call the meeting to order, and for anybody who would like, we'll stand to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have, just for the record, for the recording, there is no public to comment on any non-agenda items. So at this point, we've got discussion on our agenda next about the historic district signage with our development director planning. What's your title exactly?
Community Development Director.
Community Development Director, thank you, Erica Palmer. So, great. So we'll just turn it over to you for a minute.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Attendance
Oh, yeah, I
right
buzzed
quick.
right through it, I'm sorry.
All good.
We were making good time there.
Commissioner Castillo-White.
Here.
Chair Jansen's.
Here.
Commissioner Stevens.
Here.
Commissioner Kester.
Here.
Vice Chair Allen.
Here.
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
And Commissioner Steffen.
Okay, great. Back to what I said less than a minute ago. So how about if we turn it over to you for a minute, Erica?
Yeah, great. It's good to be here tonight. This is like the last committee that I have been to. And I know that Nick has been working with you all. And I think one of your, I don't know all of the history, but I think historical sign toppers has been a discussion with this group in the past. And we are looking at getting this project complete, hopefully by next spring.
Great.
And tonight we heard from the committee, I think before in the past, about what you liked and what you didn't like in regards to some of the sign toppers that have been presented to this committee. So tonight we have 8 versions. I know that's kind of a lot of some sign toppers, and we're gonna go through them and hopefully we can come to a consensus about the design of the topper itself. And then the second question is, where do we want these toppers to be located? I think we heard in a previous meeting that the original plat of Troutdale, that's where we wanted them to be located. We're gonna show that on a map so you can actually see how that original plat is laid out, and have a discussion if maybe we need to include some other areas within the Old Town area as well.
We've also always had in the discussion boundary markers, so that there's markers kind of at the side of the road as people are entering, so that they don't have to look for a sign topper to notice, but they're like entering the historic district of Hungry Hill. That kind of thing of an introduction, and maybe leaving it, but we've talked about potentially, I think, eight signs or something on different routes, so that as you come into the historic district, that it's obvious that you are entering it, that there's an announcement.
Oh, that's great information to know.
Okay.
Okay.
Super. All right, can I move since?
Yeah,
you guys
For sure.
are doing that?
for sure.
Thanks.
This is version 1.
This is version 1.
Okay. Oh, yeah, for sure. You with that?
Okay.
Oh, that's on this one.
Oh. Okay. Perfect. So this is what we're calling version 1 of the street topper. So we heard from the committee that we could remove Oregon, because we all know we're in Oregon, and we could increase the fonts of the size of the year And that's what we did, and then we also created like kind of a cream border around that one.
Okay.
So we're gonna move to version 2.
Did you change it?
I did. So here's number one.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so
Yeah.
it's,
Different color
it's the same,
variations.
yeah,
Same
so
thing, only
it's-
not blue.
So for the record, while we're comparing these right now, it's kind of tricky when we're just going through in a line, like with 8. I've set up like kind of a haphazard little bracket thing, so you can compare two signs at once.
Yeah.
And theoretically, you can pick the best one, and then we can go through each one
Uh-huh,
and eventually come to a consensus.
okay,
That sounds like a good way to
yeah, that's
figure
right,
out what we like.
Yeah.
okay.
So sign 1.
it's like an eye exam, sign.
Yeah,
Camera 1?
It is.
Camera 1.
And 3,
Yeah.
Oh, so is this version 3?
yeah.
So version 3 is the same as version 2, but the fish is moved up and the historic is even a
Bigger.
little bigger. Mm-hmm.
And spread out.
Yep.
That looks awkward to me.
All right. Here's 4.
So version 4 is the same as version 3, but we changed the font of the year. So the established, the 1907 is a different font.
Oh, yeah, it's more old school.
And I just wanna, that font is part of our different fonts that we have in our branding package
uh-huh.
for the city.
What version is this?
This is version 4.
Okay,
All right. Sign 5.
So sign 5 is the same as version 3, but we changed the historic font. And then we also changed the Troutdale font and the year font. So this is just a different font for each.
okay,
And sign 6.
Sign 6 is the same as version 5, but we made Troutdale slightly smaller and spread the letters out more. And I don't have the difference between 7 and 8, but we'll take a look.
I have them in my email.
Why 6 afraid of 7?
Oh, shoot.
This is sign 7.
It's the same as size 6, just with colored,
Green.
yep.
And sign 8.
and then, do you have a version where they're all lined out?
We
Let's-
do not. That would be great.
Did you have the ability to print? So
Do
we
have the
could even
ability
just
to
set them
print.
across a table? It's hard to kind of like,
Yeah. See them all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. I can probably do a version of that.
I mean, you could take if you wanted to, if you have each one, you could do a PowerPoint slide and then put them all on the PowerPoint.
yeah,
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I do
that'd be
have
great.
that. They're not all on one slide. I think that might be a little busy. Printing it out would have been a great option.
okay, and we can't do
You
that
can do
now.
the same on Word, I mean, all of them will give you the options for images, so, but don't tell my kids that. I'm not
One of
supposed
the
to.
things that we had talked about while you work on that, I don't want to interrupt your process, Nick, so you just keep working away.
Yeah, you're good.
Is that, well, even something like that helps if we can just like move it over. Is that we talked about that we thought saying just historic Troutdale doesn't, I'm not sure it really helps. I guess it works as a sign topper, but it doesn't work as a boundary sign at all, because it just
Right.
looks like,
For Hungry Hill.
yeah.
Say this is Hungry.
Yeah, entering the Troutdale Historic District, Hungry Hill Historic District, it needs to definitely be on those boundaries. I think, yeah, as a sign topper, maybe that can work. I don't know, how does the group feel about it? What are your feelings on things? I'm hoping people will just weigh in here. Let's talk about
I
it.
agree. I think trying to put, I don't think it would be plausible to put both Troutdale and Hungry Hill on a sign topper. I think that's.
Or I was thinking about Hungry Hill Historic District, but it's still maybe a little busy, because I think the established 1907 is good.
And actually, with that thought in mind, instead of looking at all of these right now, let's move to the map.
Sure, yeah.
Because I think the map will kind of help us think about, visualize the place of these toppers.
Okay,
And then what I'm hearing is we definitely want some historical sign markers that showcase the boundary of Hungry Hill
Yeah.
in some way. Whether or not it's dedicated on the sign topper itself, or maybe we have like a separate, like, I don't know, bronze entry, like low lying sign.
Something with a
Yeah.
little more real estate, I guess it would be
Right,
yeah,
on the boundary signs.
right.
So, couple questions, may I? Are these intended to be in the blue locations, is that what the idea is? So it's just in those spots, or?
So we're gonna show you some different ways that we could approach these sign toppers.
I guess I'm wondering, is this just a sign that can go anywhere in Troutdale, or is it only for this? And in the future, is there possibility, I'm not suggesting that there is, but is there a future where there's another historic district other than Hungry Hill in the city?
I think that would be for, something for us to pursue, identify and pursue.
The reason I ask is, looking long-term, if the top that just says Historic Troutdale, and then there's another thing right below it that says Hungry Hill District, and then later,
Yeah,
you could have the same thing with a different district name,
yeah,
so that there's a separation for
Yeah.
the future, perhaps.
yeah.
I don't know, maybe that complicates it even more, because now you're like, oh, there's two signs now.
Well,
I don't know.
yeah, and with just I mean, I want to first say, I should have backed myself up and say first, thank you for being here,
Oh,
okay? We really appreciate it. And we really appreciate Nick, and we just appreciate that we're starting to gain some traction again.
Yes.
It's great, so thank you. So it's, like, I know that, I'm gonna speak for the group, that everybody is pleased by that. And we're pleased with maybe get some forward momentum. But with the sign toppers, our concern is that it just looks like you're saying historic Troutdale. We're not necessarily identifying a historic district. So I'm wondering if, as Jim alluded to, that it should be something like historic district, Troutdale, and then, or something that doesn't just say, oh yeah, historic Troutdale. This is not gonna register with people if, without the boundary markers of, identifying, entering the historic district, Hungry Hill, that kind of thing. And, yeah, I think
So
that makes
let's talk about place really quick, because I find the three maps that we have pretty interesting.
Okay.
Is this the first layer?
This is no layer right now.
Okay.
So, Jim, as you were saying, all these blue dots are like roughly where our street posts are, just to help you visualize like where on corners they'll go. I have 4 different like district mappings for you guys based on discussion. First one, let's see if I can zoom in. That's not a great color for you guys. So it's this transparent green, and that is from 5th to Buxton, and then Sandy is that east boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the historic plat, correct?
Yeah, that's the original,
So what this
Uh,
doesn't
plat.
have, and I'll point this out, is that if you enter downtown, it doesn't have this whole area. I know, I'm sorry.
Be careful, there goes that pen on that screen. It
I need
doesn't
a
have
pointer.
which? It doesn't have which?
So it doesn't have, from when you enter downtown,
Uh-huh,
from like the Ye Olde Pub,
right.
Nothing west of Buxton.
nothing west of
Right.
Boston to 257th. Does that matter? So I just want you to think about these as we go through these layers. Let's hit the second
we
layer.
have pretty similar to the first one, with Fifth being one of the cutoffs, but this one extends obviously out to 257th.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Layer one, layer two,
Layer 2.
okay,
Yeah, I'll start
Yeah.
naming them so we can actually discuss them.
okay.
Layer 3,
I think we can sort through 3 layers better than 8. I think we'll do better.
layer 3 gets rid of that little western appendage and it goes, instead of 5th, down to 8th.
Yeah, and I don't know, God dang it, I wish Leanne was here. Carol, do you recall, or Diane, or does anyone recall if Hungry Hill came south beyond, what is that, Dora? Between the different, yes. Fifth, beyond Fifth, okay, never mind. I'm thinking of it as a different, my brain's turned around right now. So, let's see.
So this is,
Yeah, I
this-
guess
so
it
this
did
is
go up
Hungry-
that far.
So this is Hungry
Yeah,
Hill.
Yeah. No, I think of, when I look at maps in Troutdale, I'm used to looking at them a different way.
Oh.
And it's like, yeah, that actually is north up there, isn't it? And
Don't worry, I do the
Yeah,
same thing sometimes.
I'm like, if this was oriented north-south, it would make more sense to me, but it is. I'm just not, that's not the typical way we look at maps in Troutdale.
North is up, right?
Yeah, it is.
So just really quick, so
Okay.
this is Hungry Hill,
Uh-huh.
right here.
Yeah,
And then let's go back to the first one, which
Uh-huh.
the first one was
What-
just the original Troutdale plat.
Yeah, so first plat,
yeah,
and then I think we can do this
And-
pretty easily. This section is the first edition.
yeah, I guess that's an interesting point. Do we include that first, the addition or not?
When
Let me
did
try
the
and make a
addition-
call, let me
when
call a
did-
friend.
When did the addition happen in relation to the first plat to the second?
Oh, we can look that up online.
I'm just curious.
Can you?
If there's
Yes.
a large,
We can go to go to Multnomah County Sale.
Yeah, can I do it without sharing?
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna call Sharon Nesbitt, see if she is.
If you're calling Sharon, are you gonna ask her about that first little dog leg they showed that included that, the old building by Ye Olde Pub to the west of that?
Well, I do
Metal
think
house
it
and the
would,
gas
I do
station.
think from an entry perspective, it would be really great to have signs there as you enter. Maybe not at 257th, that's so busy, but within a block to say, I'm entering, okay, now I'm into the Hungry Hill.
this one has a year to it.
Does that make sense, Diane?
It's that old house by the Platte Pantry. It's really interesting, if you go in there.
Oh, yeah, that should be in there.
And if you see the fireplace there, it has the same type of fireplace from Anita's old house that goes,
Oh, the River Rock? Is it a River Rock fireplace?
it has some Danish, some European tiles.
Oh, okay.
But they're the same acre from the house, the cottage that's near my house. You're getting near, the Sandy River Bridge.
The property tax
That was
does
the house that owned the flower farm.
No, we should be able to get to the plat. Hold on one second.
Oh, I don't know the history of that, but I'm talking about The
Hey
other
Sharon,
house
this is
near me,
Erin, we're at the
Oh,
HLC,
oh, yeah.
and we're wanting to pick your brain a bit.
those 3 acres,
If
and
you
they
get
had
this in the next
a still.
10 minutes or so, give me a call back, thanks, bye.
So
Again,
we
okay.
wanna know when that second edition came into play?
Yeah, but in
Or the-
relation to
or-
the first, so.
Okay, so the first edition, let's go to surveys, subdivision by plat name. And then we're gonna go
I think that's a
to
Leanne question.
teaching you something new. We're gonna type in first edition.
Leanne's not here because she's sick. Could we call Leanne?
Yeah, I was thinking about that,
First edition to Troutdale.
yes.
We're gonna search, and then we're gonna display image.
Look, prop herself up and see.
And the first edition to Troutdale. Oh my
Um,
goodness, can we even
Yeah, this is
read?
some, property cursive.
22nd day of July, 1891.
That doesn't sound right.
I know.
For
How do we
the
have to
addition,
establish
1891?
Looks like 1891.
No, couldn't be, I mean, there were no houses. Well, actually, there could have been houses because everything else was just burned down earlier. The fires went up to Third.
18, yeah, okay.
That's 91 for sure.
Then wouldn't
It's
that put
18,
the-
it's 1891. Now, remember, this
1907.
is just platted, it doesn't mean
Yeah.
like development
Right,
had.
there was a thought, somebody had a thought.
Yeah.
about it, Of like, one of these days, exactly.
So that was are you writing that
Yeah,
down?
yeah. first
Now
one.
let's go to the second one here, which is just called,
It's called first edition.
well, we did first edition to Troutdale.
Oh, is that the first?
And
Yeah, the
then, and then
1891.
the other one, I think, is just called.
It makes sense, the 1891 makes sense for the first, I thought. Oh, wait, no, for the original. Are you talking about the original or the first edition?
The first edition was 1891. Now I'm gonna go to the,
But you were calling that
The established date was 1907.
wait,
As a city.
but that's
That's the
different.
city, okay.
So I'm clarifying now our terminology. Because originally what I heard you say is, here's the original and here is this new little section. This was the
Yeah.
first addition to the original.
Correct.
And you're saying the first edition, or are you referring to the original one?
that was the first edition. I'm going back to the original one now, which
Oh,
is gonna
okay.
be before
Yes.
1891.
Okay.
So let me look that one up.
Okay, all right. Thanks for clarifying.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Let's go there. Troutdale, look at that.
It's crazy, it's just called Troutdale.
Yeah.
That's the name.
I love it. I love history. Let's, this is it. Let's take a look. 1890.
Oh, right in there. So, okay, well, I would say there then it should essentially be seamless.
First edition.
What does everybody think? Let's take a vote.
I think it should be just seamless.
How many people think that the first edition should be included in the original plat by a raise of
Could you
hands?
remind me? The original plat was.
Can you show?
Yes, I was just
I
about
remember
to,
the 2 squares, but what was the date of the first one and the second one?
1890, when they were
so this
ideas and
one,
somebody,
oh, let's share
They
our
were-
screen.
they were
Yeah,
identified and mapped out. They weren't developed or built yet,
Yeah.
but 1890 and 1891.
Oh, so it's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
The spot
Okay.
where the school was is never part of that, huh? Or the school is, that like chunk there isn't at all?
Are you talking about Troutdale Elementary?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up there.
I see it, but
It's outside,
it's not within the boundary of this, which I think is interesting, but.
For the plat
Maybe you could
purposes.
count-
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I was-
there's
fine.
no roads on that side of it, so it's fair enough to say
Yeah,
it's surrounded by it, so it's close enough.
true.
So the first plat, 1890,
And the second 1890.
1891 down here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then that's where you have the school, Troutdale Elementary is right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, so
But
the
it's
reason-
located outside of
Yeah.
the boundary.
I asked about the dates because I thought, well, shoot, if it's 30 years later, well, then it's not the original.
right, but a year
One-year
apart.
difference or anything.
But then these
But do we-
plats
do-
leave out, you know, a portion of the downtown area.
When did the first edition begin to be developed, though?
I would need to go to my Troutdale history book, which I have left in my office.
Or is that, could have been Carpdale?
It could,
Portland Maps would have, if we could just look up a few addresses on there and see when they're built, because it'd be in
Yeah.
Portland Maps.
we can do that.
I mean, it won't have everything, I guess, but.
Let's stop sharing.
So,
Sorry, I'm taking over.
Oh, you're all good. I do not mind it.
you're giving me a look,
Because I just wish Leanne was here.
I know.
And you know, we
I
don't
wish
have,
Sharon was here.
and you know what, I don't want to pressure anyone into we don't need to come to a conclusion tonight.
Yeah.
I think this will be a
Well,
good
if-
start of a conversation to get, to think about place, where these sign toppers should be.
Are you guys, are you opposed to them saying historic district? Are you guys, is the city saying, no, this is what they're going to say? They are going to say historic Troutdale.
I didn't want to answer that one.
No,
Because I think it was alluded to before, wasn't it, in a previous meeting that was kind of alluded to, what you're asking?
I don't know.
I think I think our preference is for them just to say historic Troutdale, and then have different signage,
Uh-huh,
some type of different signage for the boundaries of
Uh-huh.
Hungry Hill.
okay,
And, you know, and I say that just because I don't want to leave out like any portion of downtown Troutdale. So for instance, where Yield Pub is and this street, anything west of Buxton, like
Uh-huh.
I would prefer to include.
uh-huh. That's a nice way to do it, that makes sense, so it's, you feel like it's more inclusive.
Well, then maybe what was commented before, where there's some other part of it that says Hungry Hill,
Mm-hmm.
that could be used everywhere.
So the boundary markers all say.
Yeah, or you know, either it's like a boundary marker for Hungry Hill, or even if it's some type of, I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but some type of, you know, other kind of maybe like art installation that talks about the history of Troutdale, maybe a mural. Like, you know, there's other,
Yeah.
you know, let's think outside the box.
Yeah,
of-
but I do think that there needs to be boundaries when, I mean, there could be something larger, I agree, of a mural or a display or something that talks more about it, but there definitely needs to be, I believe, signage as you come into it, introducing Hungry Hill, but then there can be another place where it gives the real detail. Not just introducing you to telling you when you're coming into or leaving, but when you are, but something that gives the history, that is
Yep.
more substantial.
That's more substantial, I agree,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Room for another extensive historic thing in Mayor's Square?
maybe. How do people feel about that proposal?
So you're saying, are you proposing like keep with the small signs that do not say Hungry Hill, and then have something else that's more extensive that explains more of the area that may even include a map or a boundary or some
Gives-
other information for identifiers?
Yes, so
Okay, and-
to summarize real quick, let
Yeah.
me clarify. So the proposal is, as we're discussing it, the sign toppers that are simple, that just say historic district or historic Troutdale, but with boundary signs that say entering a historic district, Hungry Hill, and perhaps, you know, Troutdale in 1907, but we call it a very specific historic district, Hungry Hill, identify that, and then perhaps a larger place sign, monument, whatever, that goes into the history of Hungry Hill and explains how Hungry Hill came to be.
I have some thoughts zooming in my head, because I like this idea.
Okay, does that, is everybody kind of, are we all sharing like
Yeah.
that seems doable?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because what I am envisioning now is you have a street sign, you have the name of, the name of the street, then you have the street topper that says Historic Troutdale, but then underneath, somewhere on the street pole, we could have, another square sign that says Hungry Hill District that has, it could even show a map or, a boundary map or something. And that little square placard could go on, each of the boundary lines for Hungry Hill. We would have to figure out what.
I don't know if I like them on a street sign per se. I think it kind of needs its own sign and to be a little bit bigger, more like the entering Troutdale signs. Entering Troutdale population 16,000 some odd. Should be 17,000 now. I'm thinking.
I'm thinking that, I'm kind of liking what she's saying, and only because there's getting so many signs in Troutdales that it's getting, it's sign pollution at this point. From the crossings, every time something else comes in, it's like aesthetically, it's just like
that's
so
true.
much. So what she's talking about is we have the opportunity for Hungry Hill to even be, no, not brass, so somebody will steal it, but the colors, if you go with the turquoise on the bottom, whatever, we have the colors everywhere. On the big sign or whatever it is, we have the same, whatever was on the top or there too, like kind of the stamp. And then the Hungry Hill, separate, it could look a little bit even more historic or font or whatever.
And it could be at a level that's more at pedestrian scale.
Oh, yeah, no, and that's what I was just gonna say, is that the boundary signs, need to be, what I'm thinking is something lower down, something at roughly like 7 foot eye level.
Kind of like when you enter Troutdale signs.
Yeah,
those.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, but yeah, something that drivers and pedestrians, as they're coming in, can see, because not everybody looks up at the street signs necessarily.
Right.
So, having the frequent historic Troutdale markers on top of the street signs, that's brilliant, I like it. Cause it sort of gives it throws the net over the larger area, as saying you're still in some place.
The repetition will
yeah,
say something.
absolutely. But at the borders, you have the announcement.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it, Adrian, I like that.
And those little signs too give you the option to, if there's a different area or something, that it says something different for the future.
For future.
Okay. Carol, what are your thoughts? You've been quiet.
I like that you can see it, and it's visual and it's there. But then I'm wondering where do we put like the history, like.
The actual history.
Yeah, the actual.
I think this group, then, for the actual history, we need to look at a specific place in Hungry Hill, where we could actually like dedicate some space, maybe for like an interpretive sign.
Yeah.
So our options for that, as far as having a nice visible space to put something like that, are kind of
Slim.
limited. It's Mayor Square and what else?
Yeah. I used to think kind of before Wayfinder was developed, that something kind of over in that area right in there would be a good place, but now it's too busy. you know, so I guess and it's good that that happened before we put something there, and although a lot of people would see it, but it would be lost.
Yeah, well, and it's congested there.
Oh, yeah,
I
very,
mean, that's the
very,
big thing, cause with Wayfinder mushed up there next to the existing residential structure that's right next to it
yeah.
on both ends.
Mhm.
The Bandits
What's-
Corner, his grandpa owned
Yeah,
the general
right.
store.
Right,
And he still lives on Cherry Park.
Yeah.
He's remodeling his home.
what's his last name?
And
Starts with an M. He was on this committee for a couple
That
of
would be a
years.
Yeah.
possibility too.
he was in parks, for a long time. But anyway, something like that, I mean, because he loves history. And,
Yeah, just going right up on the corner there, right going up.
Bandits.
Anyway,
yeah.
that's something we can figure
Yeah,
out.
but I'm just
yeah.
throwing it out there.
Yeah.
That's kind of where Hungry Hill is. If everybody walks past it, it's a corner.
Yeah,
It might work at
Yeah.
a.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
And
that would do it.
Another thought too, and this would be working with property owners, I'm gonna get myself in trouble with all these thoughts that I have. But, we could, look at doing, even one of those like bronze, like kind of almost like an inlay into a building.
I don't think we
If
could do it in a
somebody's-
building,
If,
because then it starts to denote the building or the property. I would be wary of that. Something I did at the church was I took a large, 1,000-pound rock, basalt stone, and then I put my plaque on it, placard on it. And, you could get a bigger one, and do something like that. And people are really drawn to that,
they are,
yeah.
I agree.
And do a bronze on,
Yeah.
and then inset it into
Yeah.
the rock, which is down at the Two Sam's Park.
That's right.
That's what's done there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it looks nice.
I'd be careful about putting any more at Mayor Square. I just
Yeah.
feel like it's too busy there right now.
Yeah.
People are there all the time.
Yeah,
You've got that mural and you've got the water thing and you've got the Christmas tree.
And you've got
I mean,
the
it's just so
statue.
much
Yeah.
that's there already. I wouldn't put
yeah,
anything
you
else there.
starts to get too cluttered.
Yeah.
Ryan McNaughton,
McNaughton, good
Well,
job.
that's right.
take it.
Good job. Yeah. Okay. Can I ask that these be sent to us and, or maybe printed and mailed to us?
Mm-hmm.
That would be great, so we could look at those more closely side by side and like go, oh, I really like this one, I kind of like that one, and then we put them side by side and go, oh, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I actually really like that one. Might be helpful.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, great.
I did have a question. This is Frank for the speaker. Could you do a rough draft of what you were thinking on for the add-on portion?
Yes, yes.
That would be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then, from my notes, it kind of sounds like we got a real good running start on some brainstorming here, so. And it's kind of repetitive to my notes from last meeting, so I think it's congealing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Big question would be Destin, the location. That was one of my notes, was this basically dedicated space that we would put all the history at. Do you want to make it a destination, or do you want to make it an entryway? That would be the question, because from a walking tour standpoint, if I were doing a walking tour, I would make it potentially a destination rather than an actual, like, at the beginning of the boundary, so.
Yeah, what's gonna be at the corner of Third and Buxton or Troutdale Road there, that's the lot that's, I don't know if it's still for
it's
sale or,
Townhouse, 3 townhouses.
Three
Townhouse.
townhomes.
oh, they're gonna be townhomes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Huh, well, that's,
I mean, if you pass the church where your building is, you have the stairway right there with that open space. That could be a good destination point.
a lot of people cannot get there.
Well, for an ADA, that's why I'm saying, potentially ADA, you mean, from an ADA
Yeah,
standpoint?
just a lot of people just can't, that just don't have the health to walk, that's a steep grade there.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
It's just like, it's just not appealing to a lot of people to go there.
Okay, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy when they punched it through. It didn't used to be anything, and then they created that
The
punch through there.
walkway, yeah.
The stairs and the walkway, yeah. And the road. It was a much less of a grade road, and they increased the grade to take it up farther.
North-south? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to,
Things to think about.
things to ponder and think
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, it's really great things to ponder. It's a huge step. Thank you. Yeah, it's really good,
Did you have a
exciting.
limit, I'm sorry, did you have a limit on the number of signs potentially, or because that was a lot.
So this would be 38. Assuming we do original edition plus going out to 257.
And this is gonna sound like a silly question, but have we ensured that all the signs that they would be putting, the sign toppers would all have, that all of the signs below them are already in good condition? Because that can become an issue if it looks kind of suspect when, we start putting brand new sign markers on signs that don't exist anymore or that are in poor condition.
We
might want to assess.
we can do an audit.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know,
agree.
just driving
We can do an
in
assessment.
Portland not too long ago, and there were signs that were not readable anymore because of these conditions and,
Or hidden behind shrubbery.
yeah. Well, this is great. It's exciting. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
all right, great, thank you. What, any other questions for Erica? From anybody? What are we missing,
I had a quick little question. Did you run that by Marley? Did you show her the suggestions?
of these signs.
Toppers?
These,
She made them.
yes,
Okay, good. Okay,
yes,
good.
we worked on them together.
Okay, good, because I know we're gonna discuss it later, but I'd like the pop of color on the bottom. So
Mm-hmm.
but I just wanted to make sure palette wise, that's why I'm
Yep.
asking. You draw your palette of colors, and then so the whole town, then it's
Yeah.
gonna,
Colors and
it all
fonts.
Yeah,
works.
I was surprised one of those fonts was in there, because I thought that looks super Art Deco-y. And,
Oh, yeah, the later, the ones,
yeah,
Later in
it
the-
kind of hit me around like sign 6 or something.
Yeah.
Or 7, maybe 7. But then by the time I saw 8, I was like, oh, I like 8 though. I didn't think it was the same font.
I think it'd be easier to kind of see everything what's in front of you. and you
Yeah,
can
laid out.
Yeah, we can do
compare
that
the
for you
pictures.
guys.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll print them out and we'll mail them to
Great.
all of you. And then at our next meeting too, we will come back and we'll put them on a big board.
Okay, that'll be great.
That'd be nice, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. Thank you very much.
She's gonna
We
make
could
you
do
work
ranked
there.
choice voting.
It's very topical right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. Thank you. And it's super exciting that we're like making progress on this again. And thank you for being involved and caring and showing up and all those things. And thank you, Nick, for making her.
Oh, of course. She's obviously only here because I asked.
But it's nice that we're making progress
Yeah.
because instead of just sitting and talking for the last several years,
Yes.
we're actually doing something.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
here to implement.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Bring her along all the time, Nick.
It's nice, it's kind of like taking a break. for the
Yeah,
night,
yeah,
so
it's like, oh,
as much as I can.
I don't have to relay anything here. Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's good, thank you. Okay, well, with that, does anybody have anything else on that, or can we move on? We're just waiting for the next steps, okay, great. All right, So back to you two, staff communications. What do you have new?
Since last month, I don't think we have too many updates. I talked to you, or sent you an email earlier about, getting you some CLG info, so we can discuss as a group.
Yeah,
I didn't get around to it this past month. We've been pretty busy with, an application going to hearing for planning commission that I've been busy with. It's taken up a bit of my time, so apologies for that, but, hopefully next meeting.
okay. Are we a part of the Main Street program already?
No, and this is
Okay.
something I have talked with Marley about because it's part of our kind of our long range strategy is to become a Main Street like member.
Qualified, yeah. And it seems like in order to do that, I think we have to be a part of the we have to be a CLG.
Yes,
Yes, they are tied.
they're tied together.
Yes, and so that would be great if we get a little more history, and then we can take it back to council and and then move forward, and then it all becomes part of the plan. It's great, super. We'll love doing that. Good.
Yeah, I think unless you have anything to add, I think that's all I could think of for just general updates.
Okay. Anyone else? Anything going on around the city that anybody wants to know about?
No, but Jim and I did bring up to Parks about the historical
Trees.
trees. And what we have on our list is what there is.
Really?
That's what they're aware of.
That's what they're aware of, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm really glad on one hand that those lists are linked and that they're the same. That's great, but I'm
I think the
also,
list that he has is the list that we have, that he just had a copy of.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think that there's two, I didn't get the impression there was two lists.
Yeah, it looked like.
have you
it was-
guys, has the Parks Committee thought about, or maybe we should join with them and send out, make the public more aware that if they've got a tree or something that they believe is historic, and then we define what that is, or historically significant, for them, that they can let us know, because we're not obviously out assessing what's in people's backyards or on their back 40, so we might learn some things. What do you guys think about
I'm
that?
sure they'd be amenable to that.
I think
Yeah,
so.
put something in the champion, say, hey, these are
Yeah.
the criteria for having a tree of significance.
Yeah, so maybe we could partner with the Parks Committee and do something like that. Are people open to that?
Yeah.
Would we all in favor say aye?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, let's, why don't you two be our liaisons to the Parks Commission and see about doing that.
Maybe community involvement.
One weird thing I did notice is, the older houses from the early 1900s did have the pale lilac bushes and a orange rose. And then there's some other little bell flowers that pop up in the spring.
Oh,
There's something that the older homes, Hungry Hill and like mine and Anita's property have. Anyway, it's just very interesting.
Those little bellflowers though,
And some of them are purple and some of them are
once you
pink.
get some of them, they will keep coming
Yeah,
back. though.
Yeah,
I have some from my grandmother's garden that I didn't think I took, and I ended up with them. It's kind of funny.
Gotta love those borderline invasive ancestral
Yeah,
plants.
yeah, exactly. You do. Yeah, certainly.
is the biker dude, I can't remember his name, on Buxton, is that tree marked at all, the big monster maple?
What, I'm sorry, what?
The big maple on Buxton? I
The one on
can't remember his name, Glenn calls him biker something. Once you get towards the bottom of Buxton,
Oh, I think it was some kind of like, Leanne worked with that, and they got an arborist there to identify, it was like a Japanese plum or something like that. I forget what it was, or a chestnut tree or something. They had an arborist go and identify it.
is there any signage on it or near it?
I
Or on
don't
the
think so.
fence?
That's a good point. I don't think the trees get any signage, necessarily, except for the only tree that I know that has signage is the Copper Beech, and the signage is incorrect. So at Stark and
Troutdale.
Troutdale Road.
Oh,
That
okay.
signage is false.
What is it?
I don't know, but whatever the story it tells, it's wrong, and Sharon's been saying that for years, and I'm
Oopsie
like, we
doopsie.
need to fix it, we need to fix it, we need to fix it. Well, you know, it's Mount Hood Community College owns it, well, we need to tell them, and they can fix it. So I think that a letter to them, but there is, Sharon, the proper story is at the Historical Society, and so I will work to try and get Chris to find that. And then we can try and send a letter to Mount Hood.
Interesting.
Okay. Okay. Other items, pearls of wisdom?
Curiosity question, is Wayfinder still operating on a provisional occupancy permit, or did they resolve their last remaining issues?
I know planning signed off on the final. I want to say yes, but I also want to say don't believe me.
Okay,
What's the long-term plan for all the congestion? Well, I mean, I guess it's, that, you know, there's additional congestion due to the closure of the Stark Street Bridge.
Yes.
But there's additional traffic, but you can just look at the parking, that is Wayfinder. So what's the plan for that? And then with the housing going in, it's gonna, I just think, this must be like, you're looking at a big nightmare ahead.
We know that the county's gonna be doing some improvements right there and putting in some better bulb outs right at the intersection to hopefully slow down traffic. We are looking at kind of other implementation measures to slow down traffic in that area. And as far as parking goes, we are doing a downtown parking study right now. We're in the, and
Do
we're.
you know how many parking studies have been done before?
No.
A lot.
Because I'm fairly new to this position.
A lot.
But
it's different now.
it is different.
Yeah.
So we're taking a look at that parking study and figuring out some different strategies we can do downtown to, you know, improve parking. You know, maybe some more striping on certain streets, better signage so people know where to park.
Have you thought about doing just, you know, the hash marks to
Yes.
identify spots?
Yes, so when I talk about striping,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
exactly what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
and as much as I risk being tarred and feathered at the idea of removing parking spots, it seems from a traffic flow and safety standpoint that there just should not be street parking on Buxton from Second North. Cause when you've got cars parked on both sides of
Yeah.
Buxton,
Yeah,
people are really crawling towards and away from the intersection, trying to make sure that they don't clip somebody.
and especially given that, in order to, you know, given that we've got a couple one-ways on Harlow and, what's the other one?
Kivling?
Kibling? No, it's Dora, isn't it? Harlow and.
Dora.
Harlow
Yeah,
and
Dora.
Yeah.
Dora,
Kibling is where Old City Hall is.
yes.
That, you know, a lot of people then use Second or Third to go over to Buxton from there, and they're having a lot of problems getting out and visibility, and I know that there was a pretty significant accident within the last couple of weeks right in front of Wayfinder. Somebody T-boned. So yeah, it's becoming a real problem.
And even on Second Street itself, as everybody who comes into these meetings knows, there is no possible way to have two cars passing by each other on
Yeah.
Second Street anymore.
Yeah, because it's parked up,
Welcome to Portland, that's how it is.
yeah.
You wanna go anywhere in Portland, I'm not, okay, I was being a smart person. Okay, but that's what you do, I'm just saying, I would recommend if we if they didn't have Buxton parking, then Wayfinder doesn't have parking. So I know it's really, really bad, but at least minimally, maybe not be able to park like within a car length of each corner.
Yeah.
on-
Yeah.
And that is the
Yes.
law, and we need to
Yeah.
do, we
Okay.
need to do the better markings
Yeah.
of intersections
Yeah.
and.
Yeah,
That would, at least to begin the conversation,
Yeah.
being helpful, would
yeah.
be.
But I was trying to
nice.
pull out off of Third and head south, and I waited quite a while. There was just,
Oh, yeah.
because no one has to stop to make that right-hand turn, and so it's just a continuous stream
Yes.
headed
And
south.
we're talking about that corner.
And,
Yeah, well-
and it's understandable, it makes sense, it helps speed traffic up, but if you are trying to exit and go south, it's like, good luck, you
Yeah,
know?
I run into that every time I leave my street, and Fourth Street is even worse because it's a dead-end street. There is no other way out. And then when the apartments start being populated and everybody at the apartment complex figures out that it's going to be far easier to get out on Fourth Street than it is on Second and Kimball, we're gonna get that much more traffic. I don't know. Personally, I see a stoplight at Columbia River Highway and Buxton as an inevitability. The question is, who is going to be forced to pay for it is gonna be the problem. Because I think somebody is going to have to be forced to pay for it.
This is how our meetings usually go in HLC, we end up talking about HLC issues at all. Just because we left Troutdale, and so we're problem solving.
And 10 miles an hour. I hate reducing speed, but if you're going any
Yeah.
faster than that, going down that hill or up that hill, it's an emergency, it's an emergency hill right now.
Well, that's, okay, so I'm gonna add throw one more thing on the pile, it's that traffic really affects emergency response. And so if you've got the fire department responding and they're trying to wade through all of that, they're going to have a significantly slowed response too, so. It's just a
Well,
mess, and
and-
trying to navigate the streets too, well, you know, if people aren't parked legally and whatnot, trying to navigate.
But whoever's doing the construction on 257, thinking narrowing the lanes is the answer to slow down traffic, that's a main hill for businesses, for truckers, for thing to go up 257th, and their idea is to narrow a lane. It's
Wow.
not to extend the lanes or anything, it's to put paths and then narrow, I think it's the outer lane.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So it's not like has anything to do with parking or anything to do with.
Oh, well, I'm just talking about
It's-
Troutdale Road, I wasn't even talking about 257.
Yeah, 257. So their idea is to narrow
Sure.
is gonna be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Are we gonna do historical stuff or?
So,
Yeah.
anyway, so.
I think we're essentially done with the historical stuff, so.
Well, but-
Is there anything else that
but-
you'd like to bring up, Frank?
No, I mean, I understand you guys have
No, but
concerns, and
I bring
appreciate
that up.
but what's that have to do?
Well, because I bring it up, because if you want people to come to town and it's congested and there's traffic issues, people aren't gonna stop and enjoy our wonderful town of
Yeah,
Troutdale.
yeah.
They're just not. And so I think that we really have to consider, what is the long-term goal of how we're gonna attract people to our town and to look at our historical area and to walk down and shop and eat. We gotta really, it may not have anything to do with historical society, but it has a part of, if we're gonna bring people in, how are we
Hungry
gonna
Hill.
do that to Hungry Hill if people
Right,
aren't
yeah.
gonna be able to
Well, I
access?
really see the link, to get back to your point, Frank, and something I
So-
brought up earlier when I made a joke
Then
about
let's
it.
make it an agenda item and talk about livability, walkability. and
Well,
all those
Frank,
items.
if I can sum it up, I think the difference is, we have Erica here, and so people are talking about this, and I think you have engaged in these conversations in the past also. So I think everybody's cut a little bit of slack for talking, so I think it's fine. What we can do is we can, if anybody has any other comments about any other issue, please let me know, otherwise we can make a move to adjourn the meeting.
So
Is there-
can we wrap up what we're gonna, so next time, so between now and next month, you're gonna send us a packet with pretty pictures?
So let's talk about next month really quick.
Okay.
Because I believe this date, is it Thanksgiving?
I think it's
Oh,
Thanksgiving, actually.
probably,
I don't think
yes.
we wanna meet,
Yeah, no,
I'm
that
not bringing my
happens.
turkey to Troutdale.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, let's
And TCAP's the
postpone
21st,
that one
so.
for sure.
Or,
different
we can,
date,
we
too.
can, we may be able to find a different date.
yeah, we can usually find a different date.
Yeah.
Given that we are on this, I don't really want to skip the meeting until December, because December ends up with having the same issues.
Yeah.
So typically, we need to keep them to a Thursday. Are people available on either the 14th or the 28th?
The 28th is
28th
Thanksgiving.
is
Oh, the
Thanksgiving.
28th is Thanksgiving.
Yeah, the
Oh my gosh,
21st.
Okay, 21st.
21st is TCAB,
Oh, okay.
so it'd either be the 14th if we're gonna do a Tuesday, or a Thursday.
Unless we'd go to, is there a different date that works for you, Nick? Like a Tuesday or Wednesday?
I think the 14th could work, for me.
We just need to check, to see if this room is available or not.
Okay,
Okay,
So we'll send an email out tomorrow.
okay, great.
With letting you know if that date's available, and if not, what dates would be available in November. Maybe do a
Super.
quick little doodle poll.
Okay,
At least if the website is up to date, Wednesday, the 20th is open as, Parks has canceled.
yeah, but if you do that, Ray's also doing his disaster thing at,
No, that's
and
true.
so a lot of us are going there.
This is at 6 o'clock, right? Do you know how long that'll be?
Probably two,
Couple hours, I would
couple
assume.
hours,
Yeah.
at least two minimum.
I'm gonna make a suggestion, because the following one will be the day before Christmas. Maybe we could do something in the middle.
Like December 12th.
I don't know, just saying, instead
That's
of,
a good
you know what I
idea.
mean, the November and the December, get
Yeah.
away from the holidays.
yeah,
And hit one that's kind of in between.
that's
Yeah,
fine.
we'll send an email out tomorrow with some dates.
Okay,
Okay, great.
that would be awesome.
Okay, and then you will send the sign topper options to us via,
We'll print them out and we'll
USPS.
put them in the USPS mail.
thank you.
And then we'll come back and we'll have all the signs on a great big board as well at our next meeting.
Actual size of them.
And then what I want to do too at our next meeting is show you what a street sign would look like with all the signs on
Oh,
it.
that'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great too.
Kind of mock
Thank you.
something up.
That would be
Fantastic,
great.
that's great. All right. Anything else?
That sounds
All
good.
right, well, with that, hit the gavel, we're going to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Excellent, thank you.